Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming and sharing this time with us. We invite you to share 40 minutes with our Realboxing history and find out why you should give yourself or your project sometimes a second chance. Let's start.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of reminding who we are and what the company is, so why it's worth listening to us. We're from Vivid Games, the game development studio that has been already on mobile market for 16 years. So it's really safe to say that we are a pioneer of free-to-play mobile gaming. Don't let this picture make you disoriented, but we are a studio of 85 high-class specialists with an interesting history and many important titles in our portfolio. First of all, the Realboxing 1, which brought us to the first league. Then we have Realboxing 2 that we are here to talk about. Manny Pacquiao, Godfire, Space Pioneer, and many titles that you already can see on the screen. Also, we encourage you to go to the store and maybe you want to download some of the games. Currently, we are focusing on development of Realboxing 2 and dynamically growing Aeroblast. We are also looking for new opportunities by extending our publishing program and prototyping our own ideas. And now a few words about me and Bartosz.
So my name is Bartosz Biniecki. I'm product owner, 15 years in game industry, and what's interesting, 15 years in Vivid Games. I started my career as a graphic designer, technical artist, game designer, monetization specialist, to finally put it all to a product owner title. Currently, I manage the whole RB Realboxing brand, which brings us 60% of the company revenue, so it's kind of a big thing.
So surprise, surprise, I'm Aleksandra Sikorska, producer in Realboxing, 7 years in Vivid Games and also 7 years in gaming industry. And I started my journey, the game dev journey in Vivid Games, and I stay till today. Through all these years, I've been working on several projects in different positions, but always close to the production and team management. I'm currently working closely with Bartosz and supporting him with the production of Realboxing 2.
So let's start. I don't want to bother you with some boring information from the past. It's not only about that. Let me present in big picture just highlighted facts about Realboxing brand history. What is Realboxing? It's a mobile mid-core sport boxing game with career and few types of tournaments, and you can take part of them. Gameplay is more simulator-like. It's not just easy to win like action or casual game. There's more modificators of your skill, boosts, statistics, or even clothes with some additional benefits. So, of course, it's Realboxing 2. So if there is Realboxing 2, Realboxing 1 must have existed. Realboxing 1 was released in 2013, firstly as a premium, later as first our free-to-play game. It was a big success, well-produced graphic, outstanding visuals that set current standards on the market. Hello. Realboxing 1 opened some door for our company, helped us to get known and recognized. As I said, Realboxing 1 was created as a premium game, and it's almost impossible to make it proper free-to-play title without changing the pillars of this game. RB1 was found a place on the store's shelves and can still expect to average 150,000 downloads every month. And it's not that bad for kind of old game that is without any playable updates or something like that. In the meantime, we started work on real boxing Manny Pacquiao with official license, but it was based on RB1. And this is why we started work on RB2. But please take into account that Real Boxing 2 was created in the era of free-to-play, let's call it 1.0. It wasn't about gambling. There was no loot boxes, subscriptions, etc. But we've made a deal with MGM and Rocky Universe license successfully acquired. It was connected with coming back new Rocky episode that brings new hero to the universe, Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan. And we released in Q4 of 2015. Famous brand, famous universe. It must have ended with a huge number of downloads and full featuring on App Store and Google Play as well. Real Boxing 2 Rocky contains all Rocky universe with Rocky Balboa, Apollo Creed, Mr. T. Clubber, or even Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren, included. And this situation was for a few years. And of course, famous brands was really helpful on the beginning, but later our KPIs didn't cover our expectations, and few years later of polishing, improvements, updates, we managed to just maintaining the game without any bigger changes and updates. To be honest, we left this game for a few years with kind of daily active users level with 20, 30,000 and 4 or 5 employees on board. So what's happened later? A few years later, in late 2019, we've started calculate if we still need Rocky brand. We've made A/B tests, created some ad creations. Hello, Martina. But one was always with Rocky. We did the test for icons, screenshots, and every time version without Rocky won the test. We've checked in-app purchases and part of Rocky items sold this time, and it wasn't impressive as well. We've made decision to develop our title without known and recognizable IP. To be more precise, we released Real Boxing 2 without Rocky. And boom, first update after removing Rocky, big featuring, and of course, all money in our pockets without any rev share, etc. It's bring us to the decision that about implementing everything what's important to start acquiring users. First UA we've launched at March 2020, and the new age of Real Boxing 2 just started. CPI were really low. For mid-core games like Real Boxing, cost of user in tier 1 countries was about 10-15 cents level. But to be honest, our KPI still wasn't so impressive. Even that small cost of that cost was enough to cover this low price of acquiring users. So of course, brainstorming just started. We've made analysis. What's missing in our game? What kind of KPI or areas we need to improve, and started think about full development with bigger and independent team.
So how it all started? Let me describe you just in a nutshell, just to you to have a bigger picture of and perspective on what changes have been made that we are very proud of, and we want to share it with you. When Vid Games decided to start development of Real Boxing 2, the hiring and the budget was really high. Almost all company was working on that project, including CEO, who's even doing the programming. And for a long time, he was a producer of it. It was around 17 people working on that title. During that time, we had multiple teams responsible for different areas of the games. We had gameplay team, UI team, engine, server, and marketing. In general, a lot of people, a lot of ideas, communication, many more tasks to complete to create the game. Big project that, from one hand, was managed by the producer with the core team responsible for the scope of work, and from Another hand, product manager responsible for marketing and doing the business. All work was dispatched between these teams, which was even not aware of the things that are done outside their scope. It causes a lot of misunderstanding and technical difficulties that we honestly face till today. Over these 7 years, the team and development process has changed, starting from hard launch with a big team, a little bit smaller team while working on updates, then going with only 5 people doing the maintenance of the game, and at the moment we have 22 people in the team that are creating the best mobile game on the market. More details how it works now will be discussed later.
So let's get back to KPIs. This is what we like. We've made analysis, as I said, which showed us the biggest gaps, started to analyze the product in terms of the most important market for us, which is the United States. United States for real boxing is about 50% of our audience. This kind of dive in to the individual market allowed us to eliminate the situation where the results are dependent on the traffic we currently have. And of course, you need to look on organic traffic and its pure dive to your project. It was a big lesson for us because all of our previous actions, tests, A/B test wasn't visible in our game. We wanted to improve as many KPIs as possible in one particular A/B test. Now we know it's impossible. You need to focus on the possible small details and starting from the most promising. Remember of the rule about low-hanging fruits. Our first assumption, we observed that the most important is to improve retention D1, which is really far from the market benchmarks. To be honest, even today, our D1 is not even about 50%, but we learned that not every game needs to have that metrics on top notch. If your game is not for everyone, is a niche game, is a game for a specific audience, it's impossible to have that kind of big D1. Next, D30 and any long-term retentions. Additionally, in testing, we found that we also had D60, D120. We didn't realize that with this small number of D1, it's possible to have this kind of KPI. What's even more important, the revenue from people who stayed that long was about 20% of whole of our revenue. For us, it was insane information. So we knew we had to take much stronger care of them. There was also monetization to improve and LTV, to be able to buy more traffic and make it profitable for us. We knew that it's not forever. Cost of the traffic will increase because of market overflow. And we knew that without buying users, we would not achieve our goals. So in terms of user acquisition, our benchmark at this moment is kind of ROAS D3 on 60% level. So if a campaign achieves this level, we know that in long run, it would pay for itself at least 100%, and it was not worth to kill it. Based on that, we managed to implement the plan. And now, we earn more on a single user. We keep the player longer in the game, and thanks to the segmentation that we introduced together, we assume who should see more ads, because there is no chance to monetize, and who should receive more IAP offers, because he can still buy something and convert to our payers. And in next part, I will show you some of the features which we developed and it influenced our plan. As I mentioned earlier, we treat the removal of Rocky and the launch of user acquisition as a first game changer that allowed us to increase our revenue and improve the product situation. They showed us that it's worth taking risk and taking further steps that bring us closer to our goal. The COVID situation was also our ally. true ally. We used to see more activity during weekend. On normal weekdays, daily active users decreased. During the lockdown, the weekend lasted the whole week. People were sitting at home playing, and this translated into higher activity and engagement. We noticed that the career in our game is so simple and so short. The funnels have shown that players achieve it very fast, and after passing the career, they look for more activities. This is unacceptable in free-to-play game, of course. We had to rebuild the career. It became several times longer, more engaging, and fully controlled by us. Old points on the mini-map became real cities. Interesting references to real places on Earth appeared. The introduction of a new career meant that even older players could find something for themselves again. And we noticed an impact on the retention D7, D14, D30. And of course, we still struggled with low D1 retention. On the beginning of 2020, it was kind of 23%. In many cases, such a title would be left because it doesn't meet market standards. Of course, we didn't leave it, and we started analyzing first-time user experience to analyze where players were dropping out, what they didn't like to do. The first thing we did was to turn off the tutorial. It became optional. It's now a separate section. We even reward for passing it, but we don't force you to do it. Of course, we were afraid that players who haven't gone through the tutorial, in the rest of the game, they will get lost. But during our A/B test, nothing like that happened. We also paid attention to the performance of this title, because the first time you're starting the game is always the moment when everything is loading and all remote configuration downloads. And this always affects the overall perception of the game. And you need to remember this first impression, and we are burning it. We have cleaned up there, which also translated into improved performance. After these fruitful changes, the one improvement stopped. We noticed over time that maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe this level of global retention, and now currently is kind of 30%, is enough. It must enough. So we kept that as it is and go to the next improvements. It was really important lesson for us. And last but not least, one of the most important game changer in our game, live operations in Real Boxing 2. In addition to adding more opportunities for engaged players, it shows that the title is alive, that people are inside of our game, and that even though our game doesn't currently have synchronous multiplayer, you can fight others on some other layers. We introduced time-limited challenges hosted by some famous or almost famous fighters. Why I said almost? Because many of our boxers are inspired on some real fighters. They are not always them in self. So because of that, we have in our game, for example, Lord Mayweather instead of Floyd Mayweather. we have, for example, Lord Mayweather. Let's stay with Lord Mayweather. So we developed time-limited events. We tested that in our case, the best solution is 2-week challenges with 6 to 9 tasks that players need to perform. What's important, first task must achieve almost automatically to engaged players, and after that, difficulty level is going higher with next tasks. After performing task, you need to fight with the host and collect main reward of the challenge. This is kind of playable moments in live ops. Such introductions of live ops challenges has restricted us to produce and introduce much more new fighters to the game and create a lot of additional content. But live ops is not only that. We introduced Discord, and it was our biggest eye-opener. previously we knew what we were seeing on our feedback, on the ratings, on the comments when guys messaging us on support, and it was almost the same. The result was usually similar. You have too many ads, you have a pay to win, blah, blah, blah. All of the time the same. Not much discussion here. Discord showed us that some of our players have been playing for a few years. Others presented statistics of 1,000 wins and 1 or even 0 losses. The players have a lot of ideas on what needs to be added or improved in our game. Me and the designers have also added to the Discord by signing our job titles. So it's clear situation, so the players can talk particularly to us, not for someone from support, to us. And in additional, importantly, in both user acquisition and in-game activities, we often rely on real-life events. For example, in some next weeks, there will be a fight in Dubai. Floyd Mayweather, one of the most recognizable boxers this time, is fighting on a top of skyscraper. In our game, we add our Lord Mayweather, who will host the Payday in Dubai event. We want to still develop the idea of the game as a service and stick to that hype as much as possible.
So now not only the product has changed, we want to show you how the evolution of the team has begun. So significant evolution was visible in the team and the production. All started in 2016 when Vivid Games began cooperation with external company that taught us how to work in Agile. It was not only 1 week of training that ended up with exam, but it was months of work on an eye of experts. Based on the instruction that was given to us, we've changed the waterfall approach to Agile. And I'm not here to talk about the Scrum methodology and going into details how it works. The thing I want to emphasize is that the cooperation helped us to understand and change our mindset. Change our mindset on the development process and product quality and the value. Focus more on user needs and be more adaptive to the market expectation. Finally, to trust more and give more responsibilities to the people who create games in the studio. We always knew that we have amazing specialists, but we didn't allow them to speak as much as they were capable to. We really tried to take all Scrum values very seriously and implemented them in our work. So what has changed that people can see the difference? We used to assign tasks and make them completed. We set up dates for releases and treat them as a priority and the only one important factor to update the game. Thanks to switching our mindset and priorities to quality, we now successfully manage real boxing. Let me describe how the development of real boxing 2 has changed. I wish that it will be very important insight for all of you that producing the games, and maybe it will give you a chance to rethink it and the way of doing them. So first of all, we are interdisciplinary, fully independent team of developers directed by product owner and producer. Within the team we have designers, programmers, tester, graphic artist, technical artist, analytics. So every specialist that allows us to create the game independently. Everyone have power to speak, to give the feedback, everyone is creating the game. We really rely on their opinion and based on that we make decisions. There are not just group of people doing the task and assign work from the management. They plan work based on the goals and pick the best solution to achieve it. Simple as it is. Let me tell you a bit about the team structure. Real Boxing team has now 22 members And as you know, for the perfect Scrum team is too much people. We couldn't perform efficient meetings, and we want people to be more focused on specific goals and areas of the game. That's why we decided to split it into a smaller group based on the area of work. So now we have the technical team, focus on game performance, maintenance of SDKs, and adding new technology to the game. Development team, responsible for user experience, producing feature and content that have direct impact on users. And the live ops team, concentrated on live actions such as A/B test, game events, special offers, and securing economy balance. That solution helps us during the planning, where we always have a space for important issues from different domains. We don't have to resign from any quality features to add content and only do the monetization. When it comes to the development process, the most important aspect of our game is continuous improvement and delivery. What does it mean? We have to maintenance our product with the highest quality and adapt to the user expectation. We work in 2-week sprints. In the end of every sprint, we release a new version of the game. First update is always on Android, which gives us possibility to release game on a smaller percent and check data before going it globally. This is how we check game KPIs, both quality and the monetization. We set up a process and tools that help us securing the quality. This is a kind of very often repeated word by me, but this is the change. Our programmers work on many branches which are created for particular features or even fixes. After each feature is tested and accepted by the QA, then passes code review, it's merged to the master branch, which is released later. This is how we avoid ninja commits and sending the high quality product to the stores. The same applies to the user experience and graphical and UX design. We have culture that we ask ourselves if the feature met our expectation and if it's good enough to show it to the players. Sometimes we do rating, always gathering feedback, everybody is involved. We need to make sure that the feature is perfect for the players and will bring us high value.
So to sum it up, more importantly, from my side, we have confirmation that our actions are having an effect. We have an outlined plan of action. We know what more is needed and in what direction to develop the product. From a business point of view, our next plan is to reach $1 million per revenue per month and still develop the game as a service.
And from the team management perspective, we know how important it is to retain team members, how challenging and hard it can be. Our primary focus is secure their self-development and give them motivation to achieve the goals.
So there is a few takeaways that is my advice to take into account during your development. This is what I want to remember after this presentation. Know your audience, one of the most important. Look on your main market. Global is not an answer, not every time. Data over intuition. Cover all your assumptions with the numbers. Intuition is helpful, but it is the numbers that will lead you to the answer. Although the risk is sometimes worth to believe intuition. Perhaps D1 of 30% is not a dream, but perhaps is enough and the focus can be shifted further away. Listen to your players. Discord, better community, their ideas. Sometimes they know your title better than you. Believe in that. Give your team access to product financial data. You don't even know how positively this translates into their engagement, awareness, and creativity. business impact, improved performance, and greater product engagement, we also bring more interest from the store. For some time now, we've been regularly featured, and the stores are much more willing to be interested in our title because they see that we invest time and money in it, and it brings an effect. Good example, this Sunday our game hit great achievement. It's first time Real Boxing 2 was featured as a game of the day on App Store in the United States, 7 years after hard launch.
And the takeaways from the producer. So first of all, don't assign the work, set up a goals. It helps people to be more creative and more efficient when they are deciding on the task and solution for achieving the solutions. Listen to your team. Rely on specialist feedback. Very often they have better perspective than you, and they will do much better and faster if you let them proceed. Meet one-on-one with your teams. Be aligned with them. There are many benefits for adapting real-time feedback and discuss it with the team. Having regular conversation is essential to encourage continuous communication. Be up to date and very often gives a chance to discuss sensitive issues that are not to be mentioned on the spotlight. It's a perfect way to get to know your coworkers. Through regular conversation, we develop trust between individuals and within the team. And the last, but not least, don't be afraid of remote work. Thanks to the flexibility it gives, you can be surprised how the team can cooperate. It opens doors also for many specialists. We used to have a situation that we couldn't find a perfect fit for a job because Bydgoszcz is not that attractive and fancy like a Warsaw or Krakow. And it opened the gate for when we open the gate for remote work, it's easier to find a perfect match. We have now people working from Italy, Mexico, Brazil, India, and many more. So, thank you very much. That was all from my side. And if you have any questions, just shoot us. Bartek is responsible for the product. If you didn't catch, I'm responsible for the processes and the team. So, go ahead.
Thank you very much, guys. Do you have any questions?
So, what kind of things during the retrospective turned out to be interesting insights that helped you to evolve the game?
Sorry, again?
What kind of insights during the retrospective in the Scrum methodology gave you good insights to move the game forward?
Actually, it depends on if we are talking about the feature or about the process itself. So, if we do the retrospective, we always focus on the what the team has to say. So, if they don't like feature because of this, and that, then we change it. And if they have an insight about the tools that they want to use, we also follow them. For example, those code review and the branches came from the team, not for us. They decided that they want to use GitHub and have the code review because it's essential for that big project, because we were always having the difficulties with having the performance issues.
I have one other question. I noticed the Unreal 4 badge, so I imagine you haven't upgraded to Unreal 5. How do you balance the getting up to date with the latest engine and working on gameplay features?
So actually, we still have Engine 4. We didn't. We are not so brave to go with the Engine 5 yet. So these separated teams help us with this. So we can consume the time, which is always a month of work, to upgrading the engine, and we have dedicated people to do it. And in the same time, we are doing the maintenance of the game. So whenever the updates, the technical update is ready, then it go to the stores. So yeah, this is how we're doing that. That we have this separate branches, and then we update it live.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, it's gonna be weird probably, but yeah, I have one question. So you decided to give a second chance to Reelboxing, and of course you succeed. That was like brave enough, but at the end paid off. But how to decide? Let's say that I have like a couple of games in my portfolio and they didn't fly. How to decide which games I supposed to give a chance?
It's a hard question, to be honest, because we didn't this choice. We had only real boxing, but we didn't want to leave this that way. We know that big effort we made during the history of this title, and we saw how many things could be improved in our game. Because as I said on the beginning, it was created in some older time where free-to-play wasn't that developed as today. It was without any additional loot boxes, etc. So we knew that many of possible features could be developed in our game. And to be honest, it's about Reelboxing 1 and Reelboxing 2. Without any updates, we saw that it has some, maybe not kind of good, but solid layer of daily active users without any of our updates, without any of our improvements. The level of daily active users was on some specific level. And we knew that we started to think about it, how we could improve this title, how we could make this title go with them to another layer. And it was how we did it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No more questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
guys.
you.
Okay.